The number of people riding motorcycles and scooters in Victoria is growing, and this is expected to continue into the future. Higher fuel prices and increased traffic congestion are seeing more people taking up riding motorcycles or scooters for daily transport. Others are taking up riding for recreation and may ride on weekends only. Unfortunately, significant numbers of riders are killed or seriously injured in crashes each year. About a half of these crashes do not involve another vehicle. A rider may have lost control and run off the road, hit an object on the side of the road, such as a tree or pole, or been thrown from the motorcycle and hit the road surface. A combination of factors are generally at play in any crash. However, the engineering and condition of the road surface and road environment can have a significant impact on both the possibility of avoiding a crash and on the severity of injury to a rider should a crash occur.
With the growth of motorcycles and scooters on our roads, safety's become a major priority. There are many people working to ensure riders' safety, and it covers many things including engineering, infrastructure, but also training and education is an important part of that, as long as you have the right riding gear and of course enforcement.
When building or maintaining roads, it's very important to understand just how vulnerable motorcycle riders and motorcycles are. We do a lot of things that are sometimes alien to car drivers and alien to engineers, and so it's important to understand what the rider does and the dynamics of the motorcycle. Take for instance our position on the road. We often move around on the road a lot, moving from one side to the other, and there's a lot of reasons why we do this. Often we're just looking for the best and most secure piece of bitumen to ride on. Sometimes when we're coming up to a corner, we're positioning ourselves so that we can see around the corner or through the corner, so that we can see hazards well in advance. So we move from one extreme to the other. Unlike a car driver who tends to sit in the same place in the car the whole time and therefore occupies the same position within a lane, a motorcyclist has to keep changing. Our aspects always change, and the things we need to know are far more important. What sort of things do we need to know? Well, we need to be able to look at the surface and gauge just how good it's going to be. Obviously, we're doing things like braking, turning, leaning over, and when that happens, when the motorcycle leans over, the tyre contact patch is reduced dramatically, unlike a car which stays flat. If we're leaning over, we often have to look up and ahead. We need to scan the surface and see what kind of hazards there might be. These might include potholes, loose gravel on the road surface, and it doesn't have to be a lot of gravel. After a clear up from road maintenance, very often there'll be gravel left over. The sweeper will go through and move the gravel to one side or to the middle, and that's still left where we can run over it. And only a little is all that it takes to destabilise the motorcycle. Other hazards include things like flushing. When the surface of the bitumen heats up, and the bitumen binder rises up through the surface of the aggregate and sits on the top and pools. When that solidifies, it becomes like a smooth, slick skin. For us, riding or braking over that is very, very dangerous. It can often be like ice. If it's wet, it's even worse. So we have to make a lot of decisions about the surface. And I guess what we're hoping for is a perfect surface all the time. I mentioned earlier things like braking. Obviously on a motorcycle, we've only got two wheels, one behind the other. Up to 95% of our braking takes place through the front wheel, especially when there's an emergency. Generally the motorcycle sits with its weight distributed 50-50, but under hard braking, when we apply the brakes, all that weight transfers forward onto one contact patch, the contact patch of the front tyre. And that has to flatten out, grip the surface, and provide us with a stable platform to stop the motorcycle or reduce speed.
Great Ocean Road is an example of what can be done to benefit motorcyclists with road safety. On this road, Victoria Motorcycle Advisory Council, working with the VicRoads engineers, have implemented a lot of improvements to assist in motorcycle safety. Things such as using anti-skid paint, road surfacing, sealing of bell mouths to keep gravel off the road, introduction of a trial of rub rail on the Armco can all assist motorcycle safety. This is the sort of example that can be used as a model throughout Victoria for roads that are high motorcycle road use, such as the Black Spur and the Great Alpine Road, and ultimately go through to suburban roads as well.